Alright, what's up everyone? Rodrigo here. New episode. If I did things as I said I would in the previous clips or so. So I just finished my fourth and final working set. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, so happy July to everyone. And like I said, I just finished my fourth working set of low pin bench press. I actually made a quick adjustment, kind of last minute too, just because last week my wrist was actually bothering me. I don't know what's going on right now. I'm kind of beat up, feeling little nagging injuries here and there, but I made the switch to a slightly more narrow grip. Not really that narrow, like close grip or anything like that, but because I do bench on the max grip, so my index finger is on the final knurling, I actually switched it over to my third finger, right? This one, the marriage one. And then that one felt okay, so then I tried the middle finger, that one felt just fine. So I only really changed it one finger, and you might think that doesn't make a difference, but it absolutely does, because, well, anyways, at least for me it does, because I'm actually able to get my elbow slightly more under or tucked into my wrist, so I'm a lot more joint stacked, so that actually allows me, so for example, if I'm here, right, that actually allows me, instead of being so wide, where my wrist is outside of my elbow, I'm actually able to kind of tuck in, and I'm stacked, right? So my wrist stays over my elbow, and I'm able to load my tricep more. So it's totally not a bad thing. It actually works in my favor if my goal is to really maximize my leverage while still maintaining joint stacking. But overall, everything felt pretty good. I am a little fatigued from the last 3 days of training, but I was actually able to work up to 140 kilos or 308 pounds for my final set of 4 reps. And like I said, it moved a little bit slower than I wanted to, but overall I'm pretty happy with it, especially because my wrist isn't bothering me as much today. So I'm probably going to keep the more narrow grip moving forward, or at least for the remainder of this block, up until my wrist starts feeling better, and then I'll go back to max grip.
Alright, what's up everyone? So I wanted to go ahead and give some commentary, really just give my perspective on what exactly it is that you're looking at as far as my supplemental work. So when Raw Worlds was canceled and then USAPL was canceled as well, I made some adjustments to my supplemental work. And what I define as supplemental work is everything that is not competition specific, even if it's a variation of it. So for me, obviously competition specific work is squat, bench press, and deadlift, and anything that is accessory is a variation of the squat, bench press, or deadlift. So then that leaves everything else, meaning like bodybuilding work, unilateral work. So obviously what we're looking at right now is supplemental work. And the main emphasis of my supplemental work moving forward is predominantly going to be unilateral work, so working on with just one side of a movement, working with one leg as far as lower body goes, or working with one arm as far as upper body is concerned. And the main reason why I have shifted my emphasis to unilateral work is predominantly because I have been working with bilateral movements for years now, and that's been the majority of my emphasis. Obviously, as a power lifter or a strength athlete, that's basically the way that the movements work. However, giving more emphasis to unilateral movements have definitely shown me that I have some imbalances that I need to work on, I need to strengthen in order to become even stronger when it comes back to bilateral movements.
What's up everyone? So today's Friday, it's the heavy squat session of the week, and luckily I got another package from SBD. Not another one, a separate one, but it's the same one that I got on Wednesday. So today I'll be trying out the new package. Huge shout out to the sponsor. If you have not checked out SBD, I would be very surprised. But of course, I'm gonna recommend that you always stick with SBD for all your powerlifting necessities. So like I said, today is the heavy squat session of the week. I'm working up to a top set of 4, followed by 2 to 3 back down sets of that top set. So it's auto-regulated based on percentage back downs. So It's gonna be a good session so far. My quad isn't bothering me like it was on Monday and Wednesday, so I'm really hoping for a good session. Hopefully everything moves smoothly, and yeah, we have a good session.
Okay, so just to quickly finish off what I was talking about earlier in regards to unilateral movements and their benefits. Obviously, I mentioned that I have been exposed to some muscular imbalances from working in unilateral planes of motion predominantly for the last 8 years. So one of the main benefits of introducing, if you're not already introducing unilateral movements, is obviously, like I mentioned, you may see some imbalances, but you're also going to be able to focus, or rather you're almost forced to focus on full range of motion. So specifically, like you saw earlier in the rowing variations, you are going to be forced to focus on fully protracting the scapula, retracting it, going in through upward rotation, and of course depression of the scapula. So that's a very, very important one for me specifically. Not only for bench press carryover, but for just general shoulder health, stability, and fluidity, and just overall movement. You have to make sure that you're working through the entire range of motion in those facets that the scapula moves in through, because the scapula is a huge determinant in your shoulder health, as I already mentioned. So with that being said, I've also introduced some lower body unilateral movements. Namely, right here we're looking at the front foot elevated squat, or split squat, whatever you want to call it. So obviously we're in a split squat stance. That's something that it definitely is undervalued in powerlifting, in my opinion, of course. And that's something that I've definitely seen a lot of benefits and carry over from. So because you're in a split squats position versus a standard squat unilateral position, you are essentially in a less balanced position. So your front foot, meaning your glute medius, has to work in order to help you stabilize in that position. Your rear foot also has to work, specifically your QL muscle. And then also it's going to force you or encourage you to put your pelvis in a much more neutral position rather than in an extended position, which we often see in back squatting. So that's just one example of the lower body movements that I've incorporated to help emphasize a unilateral movement to obviously strengthen imbalances. Right here we're looking at another one. This one is called the Suitcase Deadlift. This is actually my first time implementing this variation, so I did start a lot lighter, but essentially we're loading one side versus both sides like a standard conventional deadlift, right? And it's on the lateral side, not in front of us. So again, our glute medius is working, our core is working, our QL is working to stabilize your pelvis and obviously your core, as I mentioned, in order to help you stay in a neutral position rather than being pulled over from the weight, because it's in a lateral position versus in front of you. So that's really all I want to go ahead and cover in this video. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. If you're not implementing unilateral work, I highly recommend it. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.